try this again. The thing keeps shutting off on me. I'm giving up well, not giving up, obviously. I can't tell where's high, what's low. There's some wonkiness going on here, and I've worked it like 4 times, and I can't quite decide if it's high or low. Now, this was just like the door that Marina was working on. It's so wavy, it is hard to tell what is high and what is low. Now, some spots are obvious, like this is probably a little bit high. That might actually be perfect, maybe, but it could be a little high. So, take a step back, and I'm going to put some filler primer on it. That'll let me see. Then I'll be able to see the warps, and then I can go address from there. And I can also switch over to 80 grit, because this first one's 40 grit, and then I'll knock it down to with 80, and then I'll fill prime it again. It is not what I did on the other side. The other side turned out really well first pass. So yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to cross my fingers, and we're just going to throw some filler primer. Need to knock down these edges first with a flat disc. Maybe a flat disc, something. I don't know. Need to use something. Would have had the camera on for that fuck up. That was funny. Sitting here, wait about 15 minutes, and then I'm like, yep, we can start test fitting stuff. I grabbed the flare, poke it on the side of the car, and it goes, and left a booger, and a booger, and a booger. It wasn't dry. I'm an idiot. It's fill primer. It takes longer to dry, especially with the humidity and everything else. So yeah, no big deal. It's just the first layer of fill prime. I am now seeing what is wrong. I showed you some of it. Yeah. This panel's just so wonky. It's not even funny. Like this feels good, but it almost feels like this whole section's higher. This whole section here is low. It's so hard to tell, man. This has obviously got a wonky line going on, because all this should be nice in a nice transition, and it kind of goes up and the transition's hard right in this area right here. So obviously there's something going on here that needs to be knocked down. That is wonky. I thought this was off, and it does fill off. Now that my hands actually slide on it a little bit better, there's a low spot right there. I think that's the only part that's wrong. There's just a little bitty low spot right there. Other than that, this is looking good, and all this section back here is looking real good. Actually, it's looking done good. It feels nice and straight, so I guess it doesn't matter. This is where we wanted it, because obviously this isn't the nitpick stage. This is the base stage of getting it within reason, which is what we did on the other side, which is what we did on the both. No, I haven't even done that door yet. I need to do that door, but I got to get that door mounted on the car. Let's get the damn door mounted on the car. good thing about going ahead and moving forward sometimes is you can look both side to side and have a single color. And then that's when I find the problem. I finally found it. From here to about right there is too far out. In this section down here. That's what's causing this weird wonkiness. That's what's causing this to feel funny. It's because when I'm sanding it, I'm not getting it right because I'm getting it to this high spot here. Now, I guess you could probably beat that in. And I may try to massage it in slightly to see if I can get it to move, but I doubt it's going to move. So I'll probably have to come on the inside where the seam is, where I welded it, and go ahead and make a slit. And then move this in and see if it's right. It took me a little bit to see it, but that's the problem. So, also another problem, which I knew was going to be a problem, but now it's really shining, is down here. The door needs to come down, like rotate this way some, but it can't. And the reason it can't is because that lower rocker is screwed up. So, the other side is a little wonky, but it's not that bad. This side is pretty bad. I say pretty bad. It's probably an 1/8 off, which to me is pretty bad. I'm going to have to kind of pull it down, and when I pull it down, if I'm careful, or pull it out. If I'm careful when I pull it out, it'll come down and be in place of where it needs to be. It's really good up until about like right there. Right here. Yeah, I've got to drill the hole right there. Right there it dives inward and ends up going underneath the door, the edge of the door rim. So it needs to come out quite a bit, but I wasn't quite sure. And I knew this door was so boogered up originally, I didn't want to pull it out to the door and then have an issue. This is Marina's door. Hopefully I'll have that episode edited before you see this. But see, now that you're getting a really good look on the car, we did pretty good matching our doors up, or our pieces up, without ever having them set together. Now, when that rocker gets fixed and the door rotates down, it should open this gap a little bit to better match. Objective behind all this, behind re-splitting it and everything else, is we know the arch difference. There's a big difference in the arch between the S13 and the S14. And because this is for an S14, it seems to be narrower, because these were fairly narrow on both sides. So we got to widen them out. Now this is the original template that I cut from the other side, because the other side is matched great. So the objective is to match it, right? Yes, so then both sides are correct. And I also know that because of that, and getting all this to fit correctly, and to fit nicely, this will be low right here. So that's why we added glass to it last time. Fiberglass to the top right here is because it brought it back up. And then when we sand it all down and do all the finish work to it, it'll be perfect. Now this time around, I'm going to attempt, I might put a couple more reliefs in it, but I'm going to attempt to bring it up and not have that problem. I'm going to make the assumption I will have that problem to get all this back edge to sit correctly and not have a bunch of tension all over the fiberglass piece, because I don't want to build a whole bunch of tension up in it and then put glass around it. It's basically pressing a spring and holding it with your hand. It's not good for it. So let's get started. make this a little bit quicker. I filled these in. That's not structural. That will not hold. The reason I did that is it'll hold good enough for me to get the panel off the car. Make sure it's straight, make sure it doesn't move. Make sure it's reinforced really good. Hopefully I didn't miss any of the little finger thingies. Now they're not perfect, but they couldn't have been perfect to get the new angle of the wheel well. Because S13, S14 wheel well seems to be different. Filled this gap in right here because there was a little bit of gap right there. Hopefully this does not bond to the back side. It'll bond to the tape, and that's fine. I can peel the tape up and peel it off as I'm pulling the back up. No big deal. But hopefully all this stays. I'm crossing my fingers that when it dries, it all comes off nicely. The other side did, but the other side I didn't fill in this huge hole. So, let it dry, come back, peel it off, hopefully it don't break. Minus needing a whole bunch of work, it has its basic shape. By basic, I mean it still moves too much to do any kind of, I guess, final work on it, which we don't need to do because that isn't final. It's close. When we body worked it, it put it into place where it needed to be. But obviously there's still some high spots from the filler. There's still the little body molding down there, still a little off. I need to go to the other side and do some viewing and see if it needs to come in or if I need to get back up in there and push it out. I think it actually needs to go in. You gotta remember there's so many impacts on this car, excuse me, so many impacts on this car that it is what it is. I mean, we just gotta kind of work one impact to the other and see where it needs to sit, see how everything needs to go. And hopefully when we paint the car in who knows how long, it'll actually look good. It does scare you that you're doing all this work and you think it's good, and when you spray it the first time, it's going to look like absolute garbage. I do suspect we will spray this car at least twice. That's why, you know, the car's going to be purple. We haven't shown the actual color yet because we haven't narrowed it down. But what we'll do is get some just kind of cheapy purple that's on the same hue and brightness level. Spray the whole car with it and then block sand the whole car down. Reasoning behind that is, I mean, you'll see when we get there, but it's going to be so long, so I'll kind of explain now. The reasoning behind that is just so to make sure everything's perfect. You know, you spray it down, you can really look at the car. You know, you wet the car with like a degreaser or something that's going to last. Water just kind of runs off of it, but a degreaser kind of stays in place. Soapy water kind of works too, but degreaser does last longer. And you just kind of wipe the car down with it, and you can see any kind of highs, lows that you may have possibly missed. But either way, you'll block the whole car back down with like a wet 400. And then you'll know, did you miss anything? Did you see anything wrong? It really puts it in perspective because the color is so close to the color we're actually going to use that it really doesn't matter. We'll see what we get into next episode. I'm going to get back into getting 2 episodes a week. Yes, I know, like right as I uploaded and said we do 2 episodes a week, I fell through. Life happens. Stuff comes up, work between work and trying to actually grow this and building this and getting stuff in to try to bring the business back to what it once was. It is what it is. So, yep, we're done here for today. thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and go back and watch some of the older stuff if you haven't seen it. Some of it's kind of entertaining, especially the teardown of the car, because that's when we found all the junk that we've been fixing. So have a good one.